Cod, also known as cod, is an important marine fish in the seafood and culinary industries. To catch cod effectively, fishermen need to apply the right techniques and methods. Cod usually lives in cold and deep waters, especially in the North Atlantic regions such as North America, Northern Europe and the seas around Greenland and Iceland. To catch cod effectively, fishermen need to know the right place and time. Cod often moves to deeper waters in the winter and closer to shore in the summer, so monitoring climatic factors and currents is very important. Trawl nets are the most common method. The trawl net is usually pulled behind the ship to attract cod from the deep sea to the surface. This technique allows for large quantities of cod to be caught, but it also requires careful management to avoid affecting other fish species and the marine ecosystem. This is another fishing method, using a long line with many hooks attached to it. The hook is dropped into the sea and left for a period of time for the cod to bite into it. This technique is commonly used to catch cod in deeper waters. A sinker net is a type of net that is placed underwater and allows the cod to become entangled in the mesh. This method requires careful management to avoid the entrapment of unwanted fish and other marine life. To ensure the sustainability of cod resources, fishermen need to follow fishing regulations and guidelines. The use of modern technology to monitor cod numbers and regulations on minimum fish sizes helps protect fish populations and maintain the balance of the marine ecosystem. In addition, the application of environmentally friendly fishing methods, such as minimizing bycatch and limiting damage to other marine life, is important. Fishermen should also participate in observation and research programs to contribute to the conservation and management of marine resources. After cod is caught, the handling and preservation of the product is very important to ensure its quality and economic value. Cod needs to be cleaned immediately and stored in cold conditions to keep the product fresh. The fish can be processed into many different products such as fillets, canned or dried, depending on the requirements of the market and consumption demand. Cod fishing is not only an important economic activity but also requires high knowledge and skills. From choosing the right place and time, using modern equipment and techniques, to managing and preserving the product, all play an important role in ensuring the sustainability of the fishing industry. By applying scientific and environmentally friendly methods, we can protect marine resources and maintain the richness of the ocean for future generations. Although cod fishing methods have improved significantly over time, the industry still faces many challenges and problems. Overfishing in the past has led to severe declines in cod populations in many areas. This not only affects fish stocks but also degrades marine ecosystems. Therefore, sustainable management practices are essential to restore fish populations. The use of trawls and other fishing gear can have negative impacts on other marine species. Young fish and non-target marine organisms can be caught by mistake or impacted by fishing gear. This requires fishermen to adopt mitigation measures such as using larger hole nets or improving gear design. Climate change is altering sea temperatures, acidification levels and ocean currents, affecting the distribution and migration of cod. Fishermen need to monitor these changes and adjust their fishing strategies accordingly. To meet these challenges and continue to fish cod sustainably, the cod fishing industry needs to focus on several key areas: invest in research and technology to monitor cod populations, study their behavior and better understand the environmental factors that affect them. Collecting accurate data will help to adjust management and fishing strategies. Adopt new technology such as automated fish sorting equipment or low-impact fishing solutions. Technology can also help to optimize fish handling and storage to minimize waste. Since cod migrate across many different seas, cooperation between countries is essential to manage and protect fish populations. International agreements and conservation organizations can help harmonize regulations and policies to ensure global sustainability. Raising awareness among fishermen, consumers and the public about the importance of protecting cod and marine ecosystems. Education and training on sustainable fishing methods can contribute to the conservation of marine resources. Cod fishing is an important activity in the global seafood industry, but it also comes with many environmental and management challenges. Maintaining sustainability and ensuring cod supplies for future generations requires close cooperation between fishermen, scientists, governments and the public. Adopting modern and sustainable fishing methods, along with raising awareness and managing resources effectively, will help protect cod populations and maintain ocean fertility. Murray cod is a freshwater fish found in the Murray-Darling Basin in Australia. They can grow quite large, with some specimens reaching over 1 meter in length. Murray cod are a popular target for anglers, as they are known to fight back fiercely when hooked. They are also considered a delicacy and are often used in fine dining. There are a number of different ways you can use bait when targeting Murray cod. One of the most popular methods used by many anglers is to cast a floating bait from the shore or from a boat. This can be a great way to target fish that are firmly attached to structures, such as logs, rocks or weed beds. Another popular method of using bait is to troll them behind the boat. This can be an effective way to cover large areas of water and locate actively feeding fish. When choosing a lure, it is important to choose a soft plastic lure that can mimic the prey types that Murray cod normally eat, such as yellow perch. Natural bait fish colors such as brown, green and silver are often effective for catching fish. Surface lures with multiple hooks can also be a good choice as they are more likely to catch more fish. It is also important to consider the size of the lure when choosing a lure for Murray cod. Larger lures are often more effective at attracting and landing larger fish. Here are some tips for catching more Murray cod with lures. Use lighter colored lures in murky water and darker colored lures in clear water. Experiment with different retrieves until you find one that most fish respond to. Fast retrieves are usually most effective in clear water, while slower retrieves can be more effective in murky water. Vary the depth you fish using different baits and techniques. Murray cod often move up and down the water column throughout the day, so it is important to fish at different depths to find out where they are hiding. Pay attention to the type of structure the fish are holding close to. Murray cod are often found near logs, rocks, or weed beds. Use a leader when fishing with artificial lures behind the boat. This will help prevent the lure from becoming entangled in the propeller. Lures are an effective way to catch Murray cod, as they can be used to mimic the appearance and behavior of the fish's natural prey. This can trigger a feeding response from larger fish, increasing the chance of a bite. Additionally, hard baits can be used to target specific areas of water, which can be useful when trying to avoid areas with lots of obstacles or when fishing rivers or deep water. When using hard baits to catch Murray cod, it is important to choose baits that are the right size and color for the situation. You should also experiment with different retrieves until you find one that the fish respond to. And finally, pay attention to the type of structure the fish are holding close to, as this can give you clues as to where they might be feeding. By following these tips, you should be able to catch more Murray cod with bait. When choosing bait for Murray cod, it is important to consider the size, shape and color of the bait. It is also important to think about the type of bait the fish might eat. For example, if Murray cod are feeding on small baitfish, you will want to use a smaller bait that mimics the shape of these fish. If Murray cod are feeding on larger prey, such as crayfish or frogs, you will want to use larger baits. Generally, Murray cod will respond well to baits that are brightly colored or have a lot of action. Bait with multiple hooks can also be a good choice as they are more likely to catch fish. When choosing bait, it is important to consider the size of the fish you are targeting. Larger baits are often more effective at attracting and landing larger fish. Most anglers use a variety of baits until they find one that the fish like to bite. Pay attention to water conditions and choose baits that are visible in the current. Use baits that resemble the fish's natural prey. Experiment with different retrieves to see what gets the fish to bite. Be prepared to change baits if the fish are not taking the bait you are using. Pay attention to your line and make sure it is in good condition. Always sharpen your hook so you can hook accurately when the fish bites. Be patient and wait for the fish to bite. When you feel the fish bite, quickly pull the fish in to avoid getting hooked. Use a rod that is appropriate to the size of the fish you are trying to catch. By following these tips, you will be able to catch more Murray cod on your bait. Be sure to experiment with different baits and retrieves until you find one that works best for your fishing situation. Many people consider the winter months of September to January to be the best time to target cod as they move inshore to feed and spawn. The seasonal movement of fish throughout the year is something that any new angler should be familiar with. There are some areas in northern England and Scotland that have cod all year round, but it is generally accepted that the fish targeted on the south coast of the UK are seasonal. There are many signs across the south and southwest coast of the UK that produce cod throughout the winter months. As a starting point, the Bristol Channel is famous for its cod fishing, with marks such as Battery Point, Lady Bay and Hinkley Point all well documented. Chesil Beach in Dorset is another popular spot, with good catches being made from its central and eastern beaches every year. Places such as Abbotsbury, Langton Herring and Ferrybridge all have a long history of producing cod. When it comes to cod fishing, the first thing to consider is your rod. Your choice of rod and reel will depend largely on the spot you choose to fish and the conditions on the day. Clean, sandy spots can be fished with a fairly light rod in settled weather. A rod that can throw 5 ounces lead and a medium-sized lure will be more than adequate. If you are fishing on terrain that could be considered mixed to rough, a beefier rod with some backbone to assist in retrieving the rod and fish over obstacles will be more suitable. If the location you are fishing has strong tidal currents, again your rod will need to be able to handle heavier line, especially in strong onshore winds when these heavier lines will cut through the wind more easily. Both multi-line and fixed line reels can be used, but it is also advisable to load the line to suit the location. A small diameter line with a 15 pounds breaking strength would be a good starting point on a clean site, but can be loaded lighter for a little extra casting distance. A mixed and rough site will require a heavier main line, so load a monoline with a breaking strength of around 20 pounds. This extra strength will ensure your outfit has enough strength to shake off snags and a little thicker, will be more resistant to abrasion on rougher terrain. If you are starting out cod fishing from shore, I would advise against using braid. Braid has its uses, but it can be a hassle. It has no stretch and is therefore not particularly easy to use. It takes experience to understand its benefits and in the hands of a novice angler can be problematic from the start. Cod fishing does not require any technique. Many anglers like the simplicity of the pulley set, and although it was originally designed for fishing rough ground, there is no reason why it cannot be used in cleaner locations. It is easy to tie, has minimal components and is capable of long casts. A pennel set, 2 parallel hooks on the same line, is standard and a wide gap hook should be used for baiting. Cod have large mouths and a hook size of around 4/0 is generally considered a suitable size, although your choice of bait should also be considered. Cod really like worms, and for the number of fish, there may be fewer effective options. A few sea worms that slide over the main hook and then compress down to form a sausage-like bait is a great approach, and you should always make sure that both hook points are protruding from the bait. Other effective cod baits include soft shell crabs, earthworms, squid and herring. Any combination of these can be extremely effective, but remember that the larger the bait you use, the less distance you can cast. In some locations, fish can be caught very close to shore, especially at night, so this is unlikely to be an issue. But if you are fishing a shallow spot during the day and distance is key, then a smaller, more aerodynamic bait is the answer. A fine bait pin and a bait elastic are very useful tools to help you add bait to the hook. Squid and soft shell crab are quite loose baits, so it is important to secure the bait to the hook with a bait rubber band to prevent the bait from flying off the hook when casting, or to prevent small fish from escaping the hook when the rig touches the seabed. Cod fishing may not be as good as it once was, but there are still plenty of fish to look out for in most areas. Be prepared to spend time in the right spots, fish confidently, and you will have your chance. Build a relationship with your local tackle shop, as if you spend your hard-earned money there on live bait week after week, they will be more inclined to share information with you about the local fish catchers. This information is invaluable and can save you the trouble of going to the wrong spot or the least productive tide. Get to know where they fish, understand which way the shore is facing, and how the wind and weather in general can affect the fishing. Winter can be brutal at the best of times, but deliberately fishing in bad weather for a period of time requires some thought. Buy the best clothing you can afford. It may seem obvious, but staying warm and dry is essential if you want to focus on fishing. A beach shelter is also a good investment for the same reason and will last for years. At this time of year, the temperature starts to rise with days in the 30s and even 40s. This quickly increases the water temperature, which in turn affects the behavior of the cod. Murray cod prefer warmer waters and are more active in the summer months. There are plenty of baitfish, prawns, yabbies, shrimp and even insects on the surface. This really stimulates the cod and is why they become easier to catch in the summer months. December is one of the best months for cod fishing. The action is very active. As he says, there comes a point when the fish become uncomfortable with the high water temperature and so hide in the colder water. This colder water is usually found deeper in the water column, in shady areas and under cover of night. As the water temperature rises above 22 to 23 degrees, the cod will seek out cooler water. Their ideal summer temperature is between 18 and 21 degrees, which is closely related to the water temperature at the time of spawning. Once the fish have become accustomed to the surrounding water temperature, they will start feeding again, but they will not venture into extreme temperatures unless necessary. Let's say you are fishing in a reservoir during the day and your depth gauge reads 26 degrees. This is the normal summer temperature in most native reservoirs. The 4-meter deep water, where the fish can hide, will be cooler than 26 degrees, and for this reason the fish will stay at depth. They will rise higher in the water column at night, when the temperature drops and they are more comfortable feeding. So, if you are targeting Murray cod in your reservoir and your fish finder reads temperatures above 26 degrees, fish down 5 meters to around 9 meters and you will find 7 to 8 meters will be the preferred depth for larger fish. So whether you are trolling or trolling this summer, focus your efforts on these depths. Rocky banks like this are ideal areas for catching big Murray cod. When fishing the irrigation river, you will find that the temperature will be around 20 to 21 degrees. Maybe even lower. It can be heartbreaking when the river level rises, but fortunately the water temperature does not skyrocket. This means that you can catch good quality fish all summer long as the cool water from the dams keeps the water at the optimum temperature. Therefore, these fish will be happy to be found in high water, next to the woods, which is ideal for bank fishing. That being said, the water near the dam is very cold, so it can be caught. Fishing conditions are slow and difficult. On the other side of the river, the water temperature is high and the fish are few. Here are some simple facts about water temperatures this summer and how they can help you catch more fish. First light and last light are the holy grail fishing conditions for anglers. No matter what time of year it is, they always make you want to eat fish. This is because fish feel more confident because both larger prey and the food they are hunting can't see them, allowing them to feed more easily. When it comes to the low light periods in the summer, they are even better. Firstly, for the reason mentioned above, they are also cooler, providing fish with a place to hide from the intense summer heat. Cod will make the most of this time to feed. Instead of wasting energy in the extreme heat of the day, they spend short periods of time feeding on cooler days. This is why night fishing for Murray cod is so successful, both in rivers and reservoirs. In the afternoon and evening, the fish are at depth because that is where they are sheltered from the heat of the day. As midnight approaches, the water will begin to cool and some of the fish will slowly move up the water column to shallower water. From afternoon to midnight, fish deeper water from early morning until sunrise, the fish will be in shallower water as the water temperature drops at night. So the fish will be in higher water in the morning, and this applies in rivers. The larger fish will seek refuge in the deepest holes and stretches of the river. This is where they will find cooler water and also makes for great ambush spots. Many large cod will live on a large piece of structure, usually wood, located near, if not in, a deep hole. Throughout the year, this fish will move up and down the water column against its log. When extremely hungry or in the warmer months, it will rise to the surface. The larger fish do this in the winter to find warmer water. When summer comes and the temperature rises above 23 degrees, these large fish will hide deep down, and this can make them difficult to catch. This outer bank has a number of deep holes where large cod will hide. Trawl fishing can catch these large cod, but there is another way of fishing that is much more interesting. And that's top water fishing. You may be wondering why the surface is a great technique when the fish are on the bottom. Well, in the early hours of the morning, chances are these fish will be floating off the bottom and will be swimming around the mid-water column. If they are hungry enough, they will be tempted to come to the surface with big presentations, and all I can say is wait. Topwater fishing is one of the most exciting ways to fish for Murray cod. Again, the same principle applies, the fish will be deep. But instead of being in the deepest hole possible, they will be along the bank at a specific depth range. Now, this depth can vary depending on the water temperature, the time of year, the summer temperature, and also the location. Every waterway is different and there is no set rule. I like to fish at depths of 6 to 8 meters, and I will always vary whether I fish at night or during the day. Having said that, fishing 4 to 9 meters is the range we have been catching fish in, and early in the morning before sunrise I really enjoy running the boat at 4 meters. I have yet to see many anglers catching fish in shallow water, but as the water cools overnight it is not uncommon to see fish at 4 meters. If you have never fished for Murray cod on the surface before, then you are missing out. You need to give it a try, but be warned, it is not for the faint-hearted. This style of fishing is not only fun but can be quite successful when it comes to action. In the summer, when buzzing insects such as large moths, cicadas and mice are everywhere, the cod will turn to the surface opportunities. This can make for an action-packed night, and we have had more exciting nights on the surface than under the surface, even if we only catch 2 fish. That's because out of those 2 fish you could have over 20 hits with 3 or more coming from the same fish. The best time of day is low light, including nighttime, but don't be afraid to cast top water during the day, especially on cloudy days. Inshore Atlantic cod are generally smaller than offshore cod. Inshore cod range from 27 to 34 inches in length and weigh between 6 and 12 pounds, while offshore Atlantic cod are typically 40 to 42 inches in length and weigh 25 pounds, but some can grow up to 6 feet long. Atlantic cod are typically blue-gray or reddish-brown in color, except for their belly, which is often white. They also have fading black spots along their sides. Atlantic cod have 3 dorsal fins and 2 anal fins, as well as a second and third dorsal fin. Atlantic cod spawn in the winter. Adults swim offshore to spawn. Smaller females have about 2.5 million eggs, while larger females can have up to 9 million eggs. The larvae hatch after 10 to 40 days and are 0.2 inches long. Young Atlantic cod eat shrimp and other small crustaceans, while adults eat a variety of shellfish as well as herring, mackerel, roe, and young cod. Pollock and large cod are some of the species that prey on young Atlantic cod. Adults are preyed upon by dogfish, sharks, and marine mammals. Atlantic cod are typically found at depths of 200 to 440 feet, but have been seen as deep as 1,200 feet. New England waters were once abundant in Atlantic cod, but because it was such a popular fish, advances in fishing technology have reduced its numbers. The meat of the cod has a mild flavor and is not fishy. The meat of the cod is cut into large pieces. The flesh is transparent when raw but turns white when cooked. Atlantic cod is found throughout the North Atlantic, from Greenland to North Carolina in the west and in Scandinavia. Atlantic cod is also known to migrate seasonally. Atlantic cod is a very popular fish for recreational anglers. When fishing for cod, you should use a 7.5 to 9 foot rod and a 4/0 reel. 50-pound Dacron line is also recommended. Bait-based lures and crankbaits are useful for fishing for cod. There are actually two species of cod: Atlantic cod, which we're all familiar with, and Pacific cod, which is not commonly found in the UK. Atlantic cod is one of the most popular fish in the UK, often found in fish and chips. It's a cold water fish that's usually caught in the wild rather than farmed. UK stocks are in serious decline due to overfishing, and scientists believe climate change may also be playing a role. Stocks from Iceland and the Northeast Arctic are healthy and are currently fished at sustainable levels. Atlantic cod from the Northeast Arctic, Iceland or Norway. Atlantic cod from UK waters, including the North Sea. Hadgh also a favorite in chip shops. Haddock is often a sustainable choice for wild-caught fish. However, some species are depleted and haddock often swim in the same areas as cod, meaning that haddock fisheries can catch both species. Cod, with its white, soft flesh and mild flavor, is ideal for a variety of dishes. Here are some popular ways to prepare cod, from simple to complex. To help you enjoy this fish in many different ways, prepare the fish. Rinse the cod and pat dry with paper towels. Marinate the fish. Mix the olive oil, lemon juice, garlic, salt, pepper and spices in a small bowl. Rub this mixture over the fish pieces and let it marinate for about 15 minutes. Grill the fish. Place the fish on a baking tray lined with baking paper. Bake at 180 degrees Celsius, 350 degrees Fahrenheit, for about 12 to 15 minutes or until the fish is cooked and flakes easily with a fork. Serve. Serve the grilled fish with roasted vegetables or mashed potatoes for a light and delicious meal. Prepare the fish. Rinse and pat dry the cod. Prepare the dough. Place the flour, beaten egg and breadcrumbs in 3 separate bowls. Season each bowl with salt, pepper and seasoning. Rolling the fish. Roll the fish in flour, then dip in egg and finally roll in breadcrumbs. Frying the fish. Heat the oil in a frying pan over medium heat.